Roman Josi's 1,000th game was nearly spoiled by the Ottawa Senators, but along came Steven Stamkos to save the day.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for making us your first stop of the day. We are your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. I want to start off by shouting out all of our Locked On Predators podcast community and our everydayers who tune in to chat all things Preds every day. My name is Jack Williams, and I am the Nashville Predators beat writer for the Hockey News. And y'all, we're going to try to get through this as fast as I can, as much as I can, to make sure this isn't the longest episode ever, because, man, what a wild game tonight, yesterday for you guys in Nashville to celebrate Roman Josi's 1,000th game. That is a 5-3 win over the Ottawa Senators in a game where the Predators looked like they were down and out very early. Looked very similar to Buffalo, where they're giving up a lot of goals early. Hill looked way too steep to climb. Nashville goes on a tear, scores 5 unanswered goals. Steven Stamkos records a hat trick in that time. Suddenly, what felt like heartbreak turned into a massive celebration and a comeback 5-3 victory. We're going to break every segment of this game down, starting with what seemed to be the beginning story of the night, the biggest story of the day, biggest story in the area. I should say one of the biggest stories in the area, and that Nashville's a sports town really popping off right now between what's going on at Vanderbilt and what's happening at Bridgestone Arena. But one of the biggest stories that was happening in Nashville prior to this game, sports-wise, was Roman Josi's 1,000th career game. And he is the only first Predator to play 1,000 games in a Predators jersey, owns a huge, long list of records, has the most franchise points as a defenseman for the Nashville Predators. He is only one of 2 guys to ever do that right now, currently, as of January 22nd, 2026. It's him and Ray Bourque, who are the 2 players that lead their franchise as defensemen in points, which is an impressive standard. Philip Forsberg will likely catch that record sometime, but as of now, Roman Josi is the Nashville Predators franchise leader in points. But today, ahead of his 1,000th game, I went to morning skate along with a handful of other people to talk to Roman and get his thoughts on what this moment is like for him, kind of going over his career a little bit more, getting Andrew Brunette's take on this, which ended up being a little bit more interesting than I think a lot of people expected, and it's just good conversations, good detail, good color to all of it. So I'll run through what he said to us this morning leading into this game and talk about some of the festivities that went through tonight in this game. Spoke to media, said it's a crazy number and it's a pretty special day. It's a good time to reflect a little bit and think about the time you've been here. It's pretty special to do that with this organization, the only team I've played for. And like I said, too, there aren't a lot of guys, and Andrew Brunette hammered away on this as well, that do 1,000 games with just one team. It's a very, very rare thing that happened. Andrew Brunette highlighted an era between free agency and CBAs. Guys are moving around everywhere. Guys that you think would spend the entirety of their career in one place end up moving all over the place. We have one of those guys on the Predators right now in Steven Stamkos. I think a lot of people expected him to spend the entirety of his career and retire as a Tampa Bay Lightning, or a Lightning player, retire with the Tampa Bay Lightning, whatever is grammatically correct. That can be said, and thinking a guy was going to spend his 1,000 games and more and retire there. Brad Marchand's another guy thinking that he was going to spend his entire career at the Boston, ships off to Florida, ends up winning a Stanley Cup. But Roman Josi has stayed with his team through and through. And he reminisced about his first time putting on that Predators jersey, playing his first game. And man, it was a really special moment to look back on, as it really encapsulated the time of when he made his debut as a Predator. Now, if you guys remember, he was a call up from Milwaukee, drafted by the Preds, but didn't immediately step into a role with the team. Played down the AHL a little bit, then earned a call-up on November 26, 2011. The 21-year-old Swiss guy from Switzerland. I don't know what a person from Switzerland is right now. My brain's a little fried. So Josi was called up, and the 21-year-old played his first NHL game against the Detroit Red Wings. I apologize, that was a little messy. My brain kind of kind of farted there. Played his first game against the Detroit Red Wings, and the way he gave the detail into this, again, just really encapsulates the moment of what the NHL was at the time. And he said, I remember going out there for warmups and thinking it was the coolest thing. It was at Joe Louis Arena, which doesn't exist anymore. It is now Little Caesars Arena. Well, they're in different locations. Joe Louis Arena, I think, is just an empty lot now. It's been demolished, but historic arena where the Red Wings won a ton of Stanley Cups. He called it historic, and he said across from me, you had guys like Pavel Datsyuk, Nicholas Lindstrom, which was pretty surreal. You never forget your first one. And this is kind of special to me in the moment too, because this was the moment where I kind of got into hockey a little bit more between 2011 and 2010, and I was in middle school. This is where I really started picking up on the game. So to hear that this was his introduction into the NHL, I was like, I feel that, because I remember Nicholas Lidstrom towards the end of his career and kind of scratching my head being like, why is this guy retiring? Because he was so dominant towards the end of his career too. Pavel Datsyuk was still in the league, and you had Joe Louis, which was just a historic backdrop. But he elaborated even more on just the humble guy he is, talking about how grateful he is for this moment, how special this moment he is, and mainly just how happy that he was able to stay healthy enough to get to this moment. As we all know, he was diagnosed with POTS in this past off season, which is a cardiovascular disorder that leads to irregular heartbeats, can lead to fatigue and other symptoms. And not going to lie, Josi's has been struggling with injuries throughout his career. And when this came about, it was concerning. And Andrew, Andrew Burnett had a quote later on explaining that this was concerning to a lot of staff members and players and people in the organization, just in the sense of, will he make it to these 1,000 games, or will he have to retire? How limited will he be? But the recovery he went through, and just to get better throughout the offseason, Barry Trotz came forward and said he's going to be 100% ready to go by training camp. And that just shows the fight that he's had throughout his entire career to keep coming back and keep playing so consistent and straightforward. Roman Josi has just been a bull for them. And as humble as he is, humble, he credits the staff here at Nashville with the Predators, saying there's a lot of people to be thankful for. Our staff does an amazing job to keep you healthy, and a lot goes into it. I feel very lucky health-wise to make it to 1,000. And Andrew Brunette added on to that as well, saying we were all a little bit scared last year. I'm sure he was. I think the clarification with what he was dealing with eased a lot of the tension in all of us, especially him. To see him back, he's played at a really high level this year. We play better because Roman's healthy and he's in a groove. I'm so happy to see him play again, essentially playing and healthy. He's been scoring some goals lately. His game is at a really high level, and his offense is upticked. One of the interesting quotes that we got today was from Andrew Brunette, talking about his own experience playing 1,000 games, which he achieved with the Minnesota Wild back in 2011, which it's interesting how things parallel. Beginning of 2011, Andrew Brunette was towards the end of his career playing his 1,000th game. Towards the end of 2011, that is when Roman Josi came into the NHL. And he talked a little about this 1,000th game that he had played, which is a huge honor, but in a sense that he kind of mentally struggled with it a little bit and said, when you get to that game, sometimes it feels like an obituary at times. You see everyone talk about it, and you kind of you got to catch yourself and say, you're not dead. The tributes and the things that people say, as a hockey player, you're always moving forward. Next game, next shift, the next play. To take a second and reflect, for me, wasn't a great feeling. He talked a lot about how that 1,000th game, he really didn't enjoy in the moment because, like he said, it felt like an obituary. It felt like people were remembering him and for the end of his career, essentially. Now, that was towards the end of his career, but kind of put a gloomy feeling on all of it. And that was an interesting take to hear from Brunette for sure. But talking about the celebrations, and this was just the first part of it, there will be a big old ceremony potentially on Saturday. Roman Josi's kids got to read the lineup in the locker room when they announced their dad was in the lineup. I believe they said Poppy, which was cute to hear. All the players wore Josi's number 59 and a captaincy when they came out to the ice during warmups. He did a solo lap to celebrate 1,000 games. And then, of course, he had a video and got an ovation from the crowd. That's just the first part of it. There will be more celebrations pending on Saturday. And then reading out the press release that came from that celebration scheduled to be held at pregame. Josi's accomplishment will also be honored throughout the game through in-arena features and on the team's broadcast and social media accounts. Norris Trophy will also be there. So if you guys find a way to make it down to Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, go take a picture of the Norris Trophy. He won it back in 2020. You can argue he kind of got snubbed out of it in 2022. But if you guys want to take a picture of the Norris, it will be there. But like I said in the last episode, again, I need to kind of push through this because we have so much to talk about with this game because it was mad. But kind of summing up what I said last episode, where I really kind of poured my feelings out about Roman Josi. He's just a stand-up guy. He's a stand-up player, great, consistent defensive player. Really highlights just the defensive success of his generation and is the defender of his generation, essentially. Him and Forsberg are the two players, and you can add Charleston to that mix too. Well, the three players of this era of Predators hockey, and he's leading that charge along. He has had such a pioneering impact with Team Switzerland. I cannot say enough good things about Roman Josi, especially as somebody who just came onto this beat. He is somebody that puts a very strong impression onto you early. Just, again, as somebody who is stand-up, who is friendly, who's just a great hockey player. And for him to have this moment is just wonderful. But now we're going to get into the actual hockey game. And, we'll break this rest of this podcast up into two parts. Second part will be the bad, which was the first period, and we'll treat it like the bad. And then this third part will be the good, and we'll talk about the good, and we'll talk about, too, what could be happening on Saturday, what couldn't be happening on Saturday. But we're going to go into a break, so get your popcorn, prepare before we go on this journey that was this game tonight, because it was a whole different whirlwind. But gave you some time to get you guys the snacks, sit down. I'm guessing a lot of you have taken off work today because of the impending snowstorm. So hopefully you guys are chilling in your jammies, or if you are going to work, hopefully you're having a nice car ride to work. Or if you're just listening to this, I hope you guys are enjoying it. Getting off track. We're going to get into an ad break here, come back and talk about what was a disastrous first period for the Nashville Predators. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Every game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet on something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Y'all, we sailed through that ad. We sailed through it. Nothing but smooth sailing through the FanDuel ad. So the way this game started off, and we'll go with the flow a little bit more so I can give you guys a little bit more emotion on this because it's just aggravating things essentially. Ottawa scored 3 unanswered goals. It was 3-0 halfway through the second period. It was 2-0 at the end of the first period. And it was just a similar situation to the Buffalo game where going back through the goals and watching it, it's just they're standing around. They're kind of waiting for the game to come to them instead of battling for it and really working for it, essentially, and standing around watching the puck move in front of them. The first goal, oh my God, that was. We'll get into the details right now. It was scored on the fourth shot of the game, mind you. So Ottawa it was in the middle of everything else. Not really in the middle of everything else. Ottawa was just getting going. It's the beginning of the game, and they're letting a goal in on the fourth shot. And again, it's not always the goalie's fault. And in this situation, it was just completely bad defense from everybody, not just the defenders, everyone. The only one working on the ice, in my opinion, on this goal was Nick Blankenburg, who, again, a smaller guy, gets mismatched a lot, goes behind the net and battles with Lars Eller for puck possession, really getting into it. Unfortunately, he lost the battle. Eller comes up. No, excuse me. He was battling back in the net, and then Eller came in to support. Nobody came in to support Nick Blankenburg at the time. Eller comes in, wraps the puck around the front of the net, and then Halliday comes in to poke in the loose puck. This was also Halliday's first NHL goal. I need to find a stat on it because I know for a fact, in playing for this podcast, I knew I didn't have the time to go down all the stats and find the bulk of what this was altogether. But I can tell you for 2 straight games, someone has scored their first NHL goal on the opposition on the Predators. And it's happened multiple times this season. And talking to other people on the beat, this is a regular thing that happens, which is, it's nothing you can't, it's like, you can't key in the players who don't, like, coming into the game when scouting them. You don't see someone who hasn't scored their first NHL goal yet and like, we need to stop them completely. It's just a weird thing that you just can't control. It's just strange that this keeps happening to the Predators. But I broke down every player for the Predators on the ice, what they were doing in the moment, and how this ended up leading to the goal. Because essentially, it's like, what can Saros do in this moment if nobody's helping him? Blankenburg, who was the only guy working on the ice, in my opinion, couldn't get to the front of the net. He was battling behind the back of the net, got support. The Senators player came in, gave him support. The puck went up, and Blankenburg was like, oh, shoot, I have to skate to the front of the net and try to get support there. Marchessault Wood, essentially, yes, they're the wingers, but they're staring at the puck. Neither of them pinch, and I understand why, but if you see the other team has possession, maybe you want to move in a little bit more and try to create some support and help it be a little bit easier to get the breakout going. But they were just standing there looking at the puck, looking at the play. Justin Barron was moving too slow. By the time he got to Eller, who was carrying the puck, and hit him, he had the puck way off his stick for probably a second or two. And then Svechkov was just defending poorly in the center on the shift. It was just, it truly looked what everybody's saying. It just didn't look like they were ready to play completely and just sat there and watched the whole thing. Second goal, Ripley Gregg comes off the bench. And it's just, oh my God, y'all, you know, I'm just going to lean into this. It was poor defending by Nick Hague, allowing Gregg to come in and what you do kind of in just creating a break into the zone in order to gain more leverage. You can get in front of the defender, move your shoulder into them, and kind of, I don't want to move too far away from the mic. I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys are watching this versus listening, but essentially what you do is you can get your shoulder in the way of the defender and the puck, and it gives you a little bit more leverage on the puck to get a shot off. Now, my whole thing, and this happened last game with Nick Hague, is you bring a guy on that is that big, and granted, he is not fast, and Gregg had a leg up because he was moving a little bit faster, but Hague was fully on him. And this is the second straight game where I'm kind of sitting there like, why aren't you applying the body? You're that big. And this is why you were brought on, to be a physical, more stay-at-home defensive sense. And I understand this guy's moving fast. Shove him off the puck. And don't do it with your stick. Hit him. Didn't hit him. Puck went in. It's 2-0. And then the third goal, it was another situation I've been talking about over and over again. A long shot from Cousins that went in, and it's because they put a screen up in front of Saros, created chaos in the slot, and the puck went in. It's slot management again. It's been slot management all year with this defense. I do not understand how you just let everybody and everything into the slot area, the most dangerous area in the attacking on ice where anything's happening, because it's right down the middle, and the Predators are either letting chaos just form there, or they're just letting everyone and their grandmother skate into there undefended. And that's what happened on this goal. Now, granted, I'm not being a negative Nelly, and you'll see it in the next segment. I'm just getting all of this out here because it wasn't a good, kind of doing the math in my head, it wasn't a good 30 minutes of the game for them. It's just kind of the same things over and over again. And once again, they're in a position where they need to come back. And I understand this makes the games a lot of fun to watch and exciting completely. And this is coming off a team early in the year that was playing the most boring brand of hockey. But this is just not feasible. They had a stretch for 3 games where they were leading the game, coming out, giving it to the team. And I'm like, you know what? This looks like a playoff team here. They're giving it to them right off the faceoff. And now, yes, they're winning games. They're finding ways to win. They're still in this flow. But it's just, and I saw the social media account coin the whole comeback kid thing. You don't want to, you can't continue to embrace that, because that's just not feasible. And if you want to get into the playoffs and you go down 3 goals against Colorado or Vegas or whoever, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And you know what? Get it out all right now. And if you want to make a push for the playoffs, you better hope by the time May comes around that you aren't playing comeback kid every game. That's my thoughts on the first part of the game. Want to quickly talk about the Everydayer Club, and then we will get into the lights and the sunshine of it all. I promise. So thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now go up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Predators with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonpredators.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. All right. Positive thoughts, positive aura, good positive energy. We're moving into the comeback. What Steven Stamkos did to eventually just save this party. And we'll talk a little bit about Saturday, because it's an interesting situation on Saturday right now. But quick break coming up. So the Nashville Predators are in a 3-0 hole right now. And we're getting towards the end of the second period here and getting into kind of a groove here now. And Predators get a power play late in the game. And Steven Stamkos, who has just been, no pun intended, lightning on the power play throughout his entire career, gets into a position in the slot, gets a one-timer feed from Luke Evangelista, fires it right into the net. It's 3-1. The most impressive part about this is Stamkos is usually letting the shot go off from the weak right side, or that trigger point that you see where they're able to pass the puck, cross ice to the weak side. He's able to get a one-timer shot off, and it works because nobody's over there, or the guy who's supposed to be the fifth guy when we're talking about the power play is not there, and it allows a one-timer to go right into the net, or at least get a good look onto the net. What was impressive about this is it was great puck movement in really close quarters, and Stamkos got the same shot off, but from inside the slot, which on the power play and the PK, you have a lot of defenders there. So, I mean, it was impressive. He got that shot off. It's suddenly 3-1. Going into the third period, down 3-1. Jonathan Marchessault and Michael Bunting go on a 2-on-0. Unbelievable stretch pass from Luke Evangelista from pretty deep in the Predators' own zone up to the other blue line, entering the Senators' zone. Bunting and Marchessault go on a 2-on-1. Excuse me. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just dry in here. Go on a 2-on-0. Marchessault puts it away. Again, guys having a rough year, but it's good to see him get these goals. 7th goal of the season. First goal since December 13th, which it's not that fair to him pulling out that stat just because he had been injured for some time, but he has not been scoring a lot. And it was his first 5-on-5 goal since December 2nd. He's talked a lot about this year how it's been difficult for him to get his play going 5-on-5. He's talked about just over his entire career. He feels like he's been a good 5-on-5 player that's just not showing this year. And people kind of throw out the power play stat being like, oh, well, you're good in the power play. And he's like, I don't care. I want my all-around game to be good right now. Got a 5-on-5 goal on a 2-on-0. And the pass from Evangelista was good too, because it was also just good ice awareness. He saw that Ottawa was changing, was able to get that long stretch pass off, set up a wonderful 2-on-0. Evangelista's 30th assist of the season. First time he has passed 30 assists in his career, and he is 2 points away from tying a single season high in career points. That is 39. He has 37 right now. Suddenly the game's 3-2. Getting into the nitty-gritty of here, Predators are back on a power play. O'Reilly feeds Steven Stamkos right into Stamkos' sweet spot, which is on the right side for that one-timer. Stamkos is not going to miss that. And if it's not going in, it's getting saved. Those shots rarely miss the net. Boom, bang, it's 3-3. Then we're getting into crunch time. Tied game, 1:13 left in the game. Ryan O'Reilly, and this is an aspect of his game that I would love to talk about with him. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow if they have practice. Great behind the net presence. And I don't think this gets talked about a lot. He is unbelievable behind the net, managing the puck, delivering the puck, and just opening up the ice and creating chances. It's a small but such an important detail in his game. He's great shoving guys off the puck. His management back there is just, it's chef's kiss. It's really, really good. Gets behind the net, shoves the defender off the puck, gets kind of a flick shot out and flick pass out in front. It goes off the goaltender's stick, kind of deflects, kind of up in the air a little bit. Stamkos is able to get a good, make contact with it, goes right into the net. It's suddenly 4-3 Nashville Predators with 1:13 left in the game. 7th power play goal of the year for Steven Stamkos. 233rd power play goal in his career. 21st all-time in power play goals. Hat trick goal. 16th of his career. 2nd of the season. Man, his climb back into it this year has just been so impressive, and he just continues to hammer down on that and just show I'm Steven Stamkos, and I'll do Steven Stamkos things exactly that. Predators have their first lead of the night with less than a minute and a half left in the game. Cole Smith adds an empty net goal. 6th goal of the season. First since January 11th, which not too long of a period, but nice to see him getting back in the net. Boom, bang, 5-3 victory. What a turnaround. What a comeback effort. And you know, maybe I'm too harsh on the whole comeback effort kind of ordeal and thing. Yes, it's not great, but it does make the games exciting. And the fact that they're able to continuously do this over and over again and do something stunning like this is fun. It's impressive, and it makes the games exciting. And Steven Stamkos is just a machine, y'all. The things he can do out there, him and Ryan O'Reilly in this game. And Luke Evangelista is kind of just on the ride there, but he is dishing them out too. Massive. And listen, I'm just saying, if I was Roman Josi and that went the wrong way, I would be so mad. Oh my God. And Roman Josi isn't the type of guy that will get angry in those situations, of course, because he's a nice guy. He's a good leader. He's not gonna be aggravated of that. But if Roman Josi was a different player, or if it was my mindset, I would be like, yo, this is my 1,000th game. You guys came out and laid an egg, made kind of attempted to come back, essentially duplicated the Buffalo game. Woo, I would have been hot, y'all. I would have been so mad. But Steven Stamkos comes in clutch. He avoids a spoiler for Roman Josi celebration. Massive, massive, massive effort by number 91. And the Predators jam their foot back into this door of the wild card race. And they did it on such a perfect night. Let me tell y'all, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Jose, all who are in front of the Predators right now for that final wild card spot, none of them played tonight. None of them. So as of now, the Predators are only 1 point back of them. If the game on Saturday gets played, if they win that, maybe one of these three will lose. Maybe on an ideal night, all of them will lose. If all of them lose, Predators win, gives them a 1 point edge up on them. And they are in that wild card spot. That's how important this win was tonight. In the sense of stars kind of aligned with everything. I don't know if I'd call it a miracle, but it's special that everything kind of lined up here to where you make this comeback on such a emotional night in such a critical time where things would really start depleting if you lost the game. And then in a situation here where it kind of puts you a little behind the ball at the wild card race if you do lose. It puts you way more behind the ball at the wild card race if you lose. And then you do this, you pick it up on the night where all three of your opponents ahead of you aren't doing anything. Huge, huge, huge. Huge win. Huge win. I don't like the fact that they had to come back. The starts need to be better, period. You need more games like the Colorado and Edmonton game where you're punching in the mouth right off of the face-off, and then you're running with them throughout the entire game until they trip or they miss a step, and that allows you to take off. That is the type of hockey this team should be playing. Comeback hockey's fun. It's just not feasible. But sometimes it's like, hey, take the W when you can. And that's what they did tonight. Took it. They have it now. Now, all good times are rolling right now. And maybe this might be the biggest roadblock of the season. They're playing on Saturday around, did I write the start time down? Yes, they are playing at 2:30 on Saturday as of January 23rd at 12:20 a.m. That game is still scheduled to start at 2:30 p.m. And by the time this comes out, that could change, could get postponed, could get moved up. We will see. I don't even know if Utah is able to make it here. I don't know what their situation is in flying here as well. But Saturday, again, if you guys have been under a rock ever since Sunday, we've been hearing this. A massive winter storm is coming into Nashville, and like probably some historic levels of snow, at least over 10 combined inches, it sounds like, between Saturday and Sunday. And if it's not snow, it's going to be like freezing rain or ice or sleet. It's not going to be nice out here. And like I said, too, it's just Nashville doesn't have the infrastructure to handle winter weather, and the people who live in Nashville aren't used to this kind of weather as well. So that adds another element into it, too. And this is all coming in Friday night, Saturday. And I think the peak of it is going to be Saturday afternoon. I don't know how that will affect Predator players getting to the game. I don't know. That definitely will affect fans completely. It's going to be very interesting how the Predators go about this and if they want to postpone the game or they want to continue through it. And I have examples right here about this happening in history because this has definitely happened before. So the NHL really does not postpone games, and it makes sense. Professional leagues, unless you're the MLB, don't postpone games at all. Rarely happens in the NFL, even though it's played outside. And then in the NHL and NBA, it's unheard of because you're playing indoors. That's manageable. Predators did have a postponement in the 2024 preseason. They were supposed to play in Tampa, but there was a little problem there, and that was Hurricane Milton came through. That game was postponed. 1995, the San Jose Sharks and the Red Wings were supposed to play, but the game was canceled. It was postponed. These are all postponements. Postponed due to flooding in the area. In 2016, 3 games were postponed in the New York, New Jersey area because of a cold snap. And then all the way back in 1924, Ottawa, 1924, there was a blizzard, and that postponed a game between Ottawa and Montreal. Again, games get postponed a lot, but they rarely happen. They definitely don't get canceled. Friday, there might come a message in that the game might get moved up. It might get moved to Sunday or Monday. I don't know right now. You also have to take in the context of the NHL schedule is really, really compressed right now in that everyone's preparing for the Olympics, and that's 2 weeks from the season that get taken away immediately. And all the games are already really close. So postponing a game, that makes things really difficult there. And when you're going to play it again, essentially, it might be a situation where you just it's the whole thing of maybe it's just get the players to the game, and maybe it will be limited to fans. It'll closed off to fans, essentially. There's many situations that can be thrown into the air. Like I said, by the time this podcast comes out, by the time you guys are listening to this, the game could already be postponed or could still be going on. It's a very much a gray area. But I want to leave you guys with one more fun story before we log off for the weekend. And I will talk to you next week, and we will have answers about what happened with the Utah game and the snow and all that. But I want to talk to you guys about the New Jersey Devils 334 Club in a sense of maybe this could happen at the Predators game coming up. Now, this happened in January of 1987. There was a massive snowstorm, a nor'easter, as they call it out there on the East Coast, right around the time that the Devils and the Flames were supposed to play. The game was delayed 2 hours as Devils players were trying to get to the rink, and they kept delaying it. 11,240 tickets were sold for this game. Only 334 fans showed up to watch. At that time, and still to this day, it's the lowest attended NHL game when we exclude COVID and the bubble games. Devils won 7-5, so they got to see their team win big. But what's coined from this essentially is 334 fans showed up to this game. The Devils then issued out like little pins that they have called the 334 Club. And that's something that those fans that go to that game could remember forever and keep with them forever. So, hey, maybe Nashville will have its own 334 Club. We will see what happens on Saturday. Maybe the game will get postponed. Either way, coming off this podcast, it's good to just bask in the win right now. An exciting win. And hopefully Roman Josi will get an official 1,000 game celebration. Weather permitting, it will happen no matter what. Even if the game gets postponed, it will happen in the next home game. They'll figure it out. But that is all I got for y'all. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. If you want to hear more of my ramblings and the thoughts of my mind, I am at Jack G. Williams on Twitter/X. On the hockey news, Jack Williams. And then if you guys are just interested in Locked On Predators, we're LO_Predators on Twitter. Facebook and Instagram, we are Locked On Predators. And hey, if you guys are interested, Every Dare Club, ad-free audio, members-only Discord access, really takes it up a level for the listener experience. $5 a month, $50 a year. That's all I got for y'all. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay warm. Hey, if you don't need to go outside, don't do it. Hey, if you feel like the roads are a little unsafe and you have plans going to the Predator game, it's more important to make those safe decisions and staying home and staying bundled up and making sure that you aren't breaking down. So stay safe, stay warm, and I will see you guys next week on another episode in another week of the Locked On Predators podcast.